we should. So I would like to welcome you on Film International Festival, Film Festival. It's our second day. And I am Evie, and I have with me 5 directors. So I would like, first of all, to congratulate you for your films, because you are selected. I have seen them all. I'm very proud of them, because I am actually very shy as a person, and I can't do a lot of things. And I've seen your ages, and you are too young and too creative, and I am kind of jealous. I am 33 years old. Yeah.
You look great for 33.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah.
I know that because I have my nose. So maybe you would like to introduce yourself. Some things about you, your passion. Becca, do you want to start?
Sure. So my name is Becca Maloney. I am from Dublin, Ireland, and I'm a freelance, I guess, creative person. I do a lot of different things, from like events to creative projects like music videos, and I work mostly in the music industry in Ireland, which is great. And the project I submitted to the festival, which got in, was actually a music video, and it's the first music video I've ever made. But I've made a couple of more since then, so that's why I'm here.
Perfect. And Alara?
Yes, hello. I'm Alara Drahshan from Turkey, Istanbul. This is my second time actually in her International Film Festival. Last year I was also with another film. It was a live footage film. And this time I'm here with my film Quarantine Land, in Turkish Karantina Diyarı. And it's an animation film. It's a 2-minute animation film. And I work mostly in commercial area, actually. We shoot commercial films. I worked a lot as an assistant director, and I also make my short films. Yeah.
Nice. Mary?
Hi, I created Swedish Cream. I just graduated from college from the Pratt Institute in New York City. I currently live in Baltimore, Maryland in the US. I'm working as a freelance artist. I do storyboards for music video pitches, character and asset design, as well as video editing.
Great. Luciana, I pronounce it well? Luciana?
Yeah, it's Luciana, yeah.
Luciana.
Well, I'm from Brazil. I'm a cinematographer here, and I actually am with a film that was my second short film that I directed. It's called Cheers to the Sea, and I produced it while I was on a master in Ireland, and now I'm back home in São Paulo, where I live. And I mainly work with fiction films and commercials, and as a cinematographer. I'm happy to be here.
And Natasha?
Hi, I'm Natasha Fairchild. I'm here with my film, Stay Still, which is a short film I made at university in London, but I'm actually from Belgium and the States. And I currently work at a production company here in Brussels, mainly in commercials and music videos, but I do more visual research and treatments. And yeah, also really happy to be here.
Nice, perfect. So maybe now it's time to talk about your films. So we have different genders of films. Here, in our group, we have about animations, we have music video, drama, a kind of thriller, Natasha's kind of thriller. So maybe, Becca, do you want to say something about how is to produce a music video? Because you said that it's your first time, right?
Yeah. Sure. Okay, so it wasn't my first time making a video, which is the important part. I think that if you are good at doing any sort of visual thing, that music videos kind of make sense. I come from a lot of different kind of backgrounds in creating visual projects. So I've had my hand at like writing and directing, shooting, editing, and producing. I definitely am better at some of the other roles than the more technical stuff. But basically, this video that I did is for the artist that I manage, Celavita Mai. She's an amazing rapper and songwriter from the west coast of Ireland, Galway. And during lockdown, we had several lockdowns here in Ireland, but during one of the kind of harder ones earlier this year, she sent me the song and I was like, let's make a video for this. And we just shot it randomly at different intervals in different locations around Dublin, literally just me and her. And that's how it kind of came together. But I've been lucky enough since then to work on other music videos with actual productions, where I can kind of do art direction and set design and stuff. And I think that organizing a music video is very much just like organizing an event. You just have to like get all the people, the place you want to do it, and if possible, a little bit of budget. And definitely asking a lot of favors of a lot of people, especially when you're just starting out. You have to kind of like convince people to get on board and promise them that it's going to be beautiful in the end. And that's what I've been kind of doing with the other music videos since then. But yeah, the heel music video in this competition was literally made out of love, me and Mai and this other amazing model, Maria. So I was very lucky to be able to do a number of things for it and for it to all come together the way it did.
Yeah, and I ask you something? So there is a big difference to make a film than to make a music video.
Yeah,
I mean, all the process it's different.
Yeah, it is very different. The one thing is, I think that there's less pressure on a music video because you can come up with a storyline. Like I would write treatments and have like very specific vision boards, and even sometimes scripts for the projects that I do, including music videos. But like if you do see a moment, or you do find a location, or if you're with the artist and you happen to have your camera, which I do all the time, and you're in a place and it's like the perfect moment and you're like, let's just play this song off my phone and see what happens, and it might make the final cut. I feel like with music videos you can be a little bit more flexible like that, and if you see a moment you can take it. But with a film, it all has to make sense in the end, and it all has to play into the story. And no matter how hard it was to shoot it, how much money it costs, if it was the best take of the day or whatever, if it doesn't make sense in the final edit, then you shouldn't be using it. But with a music video, I feel like if you have loads of great stuff, you can find a way to make it work and just be a little bit more flexible with it. So I would say like that's probably one of the main differences. They're very similar in a lot of ways, but I like how it's a little bit more open to interpretation. And if you have something, go with it, and it might not matter too much at the end of the day, you know, if it doesn't fit into the script, if that makes sense. I don't know if anyone else feels that way when they go between music videos and like creative projects and then more like set things like commercial or like a big production kind of film thing. It's nice to have that little bit of leg room.
So does any one of you has an experience on music videos? No? Okay.
I've experienced storyboarding for them, but I do not have any filming.
Do you do that like digitally or by hand?
Digital.
Cool. That sounds very interesting. I'd love to see some of those storyboards.
I have a music video, but it's all animation, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's still a music video.
Yeah.
And it probably takes you about 10 times longer than it takes me.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like 3 to 4 months.
Oh my God. That's a long time. That's dedication.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also, Becca, it was a kind of personal story. I mean, the singers.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
Yeah, so my she basically wrote Heal, and it was her coming out story. She had never written a song about a female love before, and she had only really come to terms with, you know, how she felt about girls in that previous year. And like I said, I'm her manager, but I'm also her friend, and I'm also her number one fan. And when she sent me the song, I was like, whoa, we need to celebrate this. Like, it was just, I just really could see like a whole like story in my head when I heard it, because it was so authentic. And it's not that easy, especially in rap. I don't find myself very inspired immediately by a rap song, because like they can be very intense. But when I heard this kind of other side to her, I was like, let's do a video. And she was so on board with it. And then we brought in Maria, and we just hung out like for the days that we were together. And just, I tried to capture like little, you know, personal moments between them without them actually being in a relationship, which is hard. Which I'm sure other people here have experience in. Trying to make somebody look like they're actually in love is hard, but you know, by spending time and getting those little cute moments, that was really nice. And me and Mai became even closer after we made this, because like I said, we had literally nothing, and it was made during lockdown over the space of like 4 months. So to see it like all come together, and I think it's kind of convincing that they could have been in a relationship. So yeah, it was really, really nice to make a video for something so special.
Yeah, it is special. I mean, it's your story, so
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
Nice. Now, let's talk about Luciana's film. So, do you want to tell us about your film? The title is Tears to the Sea, right?
Yes. Well, it's a short film about a woman named Maria. She's Brazilian, and she lives in Spain, but she comes to Ireland to look for her father. And when she gets to his place, he's not there. And the whole idea of the film, it was like to show visually the absence of her father. So it was always supposed to be a very visual film, like a sensorial film, where you could feel through the images her loneliness or the abyss that she had in her life because of that lack of presence that her father left in her. I did this film I did a master in Ireland in cinematography, and I directed this film with the co-direction of Emma Smith. She's an Irish filmmaker, and well, it was a very personal film, like a very deep research into my story with my father, and trying to get to the bottom of what the feeling is, and try to make it visual. That was the idea, because I am a cinematographer, I'm not a director, so it was always my my main idea with the film. So it was a very important process in every way. It was very nice to work with an Irish crew, with a lot of people, that young filmmakers that I didn't know. Everybody was so helpful and so amazing, and it was a really great process, both personally and professionally. But the main goal with the film was trying to find images to convey this idea of emptiness and loneliness and this kind of things. It's a very it's not like you can't understand much, like there's not much dialogues, and that it's mainly images and
music
and a very nice music that a friend made for the film. Yeah.
So for example, the song that she sings, it's not a traditional song or?
No, it was written for the film. Yeah.
Nice.
Actually, by the actress Bruna Valentini, which is a great friend of mine from Brazil. She lives in Spain, and she wrote the song with the songwriter Rafael Rocha. They wrote together for the film, like inspired by the script and the character's journey, and so it's a song written for the film.
Mm-hmm. And so, why did you choose Ireland to shoot the film? Because you live there, or because as an atmosphere, it's connected perfectly to the film?
Yeah, because my master was in Ireland, and I studied at the National Film School in IADT in Dunleary, and I got like immersed to the Irish culture, and I lived in a house with an Irish woman, a great woman, like very nice, became a part of family to me, and I started to get to know her friends and this Irish culture of summer vacating in trailers and trailer parks, and I got like acquaintance to this culture in Ireland. Like I really got, I don't know, I felt very close to Irish people, and so she took me, actually, Anne, who is my friend from Ireland, she took me to these places and she showed me everywhere around. Like we traveled a lot, and I just found like the perfect location. Like the location in my film is basically everything. Like I scouted a lot and found like the perfect place who would be able to convey this kind of I don't know, this kind of, I don't know if it's in English it's right, like atemporality, like something that is not properly set in time, like something that there is no specific time in period, like it's something that is floating in the atmosphere. Like it's nothing like you can actually be, you're not there, especially like it's a place in mind. Actually, I wanted to find this spot where you could show almost like you're inside the character's mind. Like it's not a place specifically, like it's somewhere imaginary. And she took me to these places and we traveled a lot until we found, and it was, I don't know, I was very immersed in this Irish atmosphere. So it just felt right.
Yeah, it does. Nice. Then we have an animation film, Sweet as Cream.
Yes.
Mary, tell us about it.
So Sweet as Cream was created in this room for over the course of a year by myself. And it is about taking like elements of my life, and it's about being lactose intolerant while also being a plus size woman and like navigating dating. And this idea of like wanting something you feel that you cannot have, but if you were to just go for it, you would find out the true answer instead of just assuming. Because like as a plus size woman, when it has come to dating, I didn't want to date. It was like I've been treated horribly by people just because of the way that I look. I don't want to do that to myself. I don't want to put myself out there again. And then the moment that I decided, okay, I'm ready, it was over and over and over again of, I can't be with that person, they won't like me. I can't be with that person because they're like, I like them, they're nice looking. They want to be with me because I'm not nice looking. But then finally I went for it and they're like, I've loved you from the moment I met you, kind of thing. So it's that weird overlap of creating this film, and in the midst of creating this film, I actually started dating someone who would then voice the love interest in my film, who I've actually known for 3 years prior, but we just didn't go for it because both of us were kind of too afraid. So it was kind of that like crazy like life, or art mimics life, because I had it already and then it kind of happened because of the exact thing that happens in the film. So it was very fun. Thank you. It's all Photoshop animated. I did not know how to animate in Photoshop, but I decided to make life harder for myself and taught myself while I was animating. But that was it. It was very fun to work on.
Yeah, it was very colorful, full of color, eh? And it was cheerful. I mean, it was cheerful, but in a, how can I say it? In a strange way, because it was sad at some moments.
Yeah, I don't consider myself a very like angsty or like sad person. Like I always want things to be happy, happy, happy. Even like when horrible things happen, it's kind of the idea of like you got to keep your chin up and it'll be okay. And I really wanted to like use the colors to influence like my life in New York that I was no longer part of because my school shut down because of COVID. And then the colors of like ice cream and pastries and things that people want in this like colorful life that you want to go for, but you are stopping yourself.
Yeah. And also you saw how supportive our friends and how necessary are.
Yeah, because I had people and everyone was thrown to the wind. So I suddenly found myself trying to make a film. And I said, I'm not going to use any voice actors. It was going to be completely silent, only with music, no talking. And then while I was making it, I realized that I needed to have the voices in it. But the problem is I came back home and I didn't really have anyone here. So I ended up actually having my best friend voice the little orange one who's here. And then my now boyfriend voices the love interest. And he was so nervous, but because he was like, because I got to talk to you, it felt like it was much easier. And I was, that's true, because I'm very shy. So like I had a hard time because I voiced the main character.
Nice. Now, maybe we should talk about, we have also an animation film. So it's yours, Alana. It's about Quarantine Land. Do you want to tell some things about it?
Well, I actually wanted to shoot a live action film because I had already done my music video. It was also an animation, and I was like, I can do more. That was my thing. But well, we were in lockdown and I didn't want to shoot my parents. So I decided to shoot myself. And yeah, I use a technique called rotoscopy. And so I shot the photographs of myself and I draw on it. The film is the summary of my lockdown, actually. Yeah, the girl in there is actually me. Yeah. Well, for the people who don't know, it's mostly sets in a house, and it only has a view of it, which I had. And yeah, I didn't really have any ambition of making it look like something that it wasn't. I don't have a film structure. I didn't have any ambition of narrative. I just draw. Yeah.
Cool.
Maybe you have questions. Maybe I can't really talk long English, so you ask, I answer.
No, I was thinking how the whole pandemic affect all of us. I mean, if I have to talk about myself, it affected me a lot, in a lot of ways. So I think all of you, and okay, my work could be done remotely, so I didn't have any problem, but your job has to be on site, you're with people. I mean, how does this affect you?
I think having limits makes you more free.
What do you mean about
finding techniques?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I produced more than I thought I would in quarantine.
Oh, so you
Yeah.
are
It was more productive. It was positive for me.
Okay, because you were more productive and more creative.
Yes, maybe one thing, I had more time, and because I had more limits, I couldn't go out. I didn't have a big crew. I couldn't work with actual, like, real people, real actors. So I have to draw what I wanted to tell. That was a thing for me. So, like, if you can, I can't really draw beautifully. I don't have good animation techniques, but I know how I can make an animation. I mean, I just told you, I shot myself and I draw the pictures. So there you go, you have an animation. So it's all about thinking and, yeah, just creating. Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
it was the same for me. I wished that my first music video I could have had a hand with an actual videographer and an editor who knew what they were doing and so on. But I just said, like, I might as well just use this as an opportunity to try. I also felt a huge amount of pressure, sorry, because it wasn't just for me, like it was for who is already an established artist with a lot of people watching. So there was a lot of pressure, but I'm glad that it happened. And I'm glad that my first music video didn't have a budget or didn't have a crew, because like I said, I don't look back on that and go, oh God, I wish I had a dolly, or I wish that I knew, like, you know, whatever. I look at that and go, like, I actually had nothing and yet we still made something. So I get what you mean. It's like you just kind of have to make do with what you have. And in a way, it's like, would you rather have that than be able to do the usual thing where you look back at something and go, oh my God, that's the worst thing I've ever made. I hate it so much. Because that's what I do with all my projects, except for this one, because I look back and go, well, that was fun during a really shit time, you know?
Yeah, what about you, Natasha, Gianna, Mary? How the pandemic affects you?
At least for me, it didn't really affect my work because my film was a student film, so it was expected that I would be making it no budget by myself. I would say mentally and socially, it was very difficult because you no longer have the community that you rely on, and you don't have people that you can turn to, or even, I would say, taking a break, because you can't see it. You can my bed is like right there. So my days would be like 16 hours, roll out of bed into this chair, work in the dark, like during the winter, roll out of this chair back into bed, doing that for months. And in between that, I would be in classes where I'm seeing friends that I can only see on the screen, because now they're all too busy, like, working on their own films to really be social in any way. And I think that really affected creativity. But on the other hand, you get to have this almost like badge of, I made a film during one of the worst things that's ever happened to me, and it was really hard, but it's done now, and you can't really say negative things about it because you did it, and it was very difficult and unprecedented, and
Yes.
you have that now.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Natasha?
Actually, me, it's like kind of completely different. I loved lockdown in the sense that I wasn't necessarily filmmaking, because my film was done a couple months before lockdown. But I didn't really create anything in terms of film, but it was more so that my whole city here in Brussels like completely stopped, and I spent all my time outside on my skateboard taking pictures, and I loved it because I just started my job, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, you can't come into the office anymore. I was like, okay. The weather was beautiful, so I spent all my time outside, and it was insane because there was no one on the streets. But for me, I mean, I really liked it in that sense. But I didn't make so much filmmaking stuff. It was I'm more focused on photography and just going on walks like the whole day. And it was really nice. The second lockdown that we had in Belgium wasn't as easy though, because I mean, it was winter, and then, you can't be outside in the sun the whole day. So, but yeah.
Wait, but you didn't have any curfew?
Sorry?
You didn't have any curfew?
We did at night, but I was outside.
Only at night? Because
Only
here
at
in
night.
Greece we had it.
During the day?
Yeah, you have to send message. We have we had to send message to explain the reason we go out, and just for a limited time. Yeah, it was kind of You could go out only if you want to walk, like an exercise, for example. Yeah.
Did you also have rules that you couldn't be more, because we had that in Belgium where you couldn't be more than 2 people walking with you and you cannot sit, which was kind of a weird thing to think about, is that you cannot sit. You always constantly have to be moving.
Yeah.
But that's so weird.
I know. It's so weird.
I thought Ireland was bad. That's bad.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed past 2 kilometers in the first lockdown. And then it went to 5 kilometers, and then, but it was fine because it was the same. It was like really nice weather, and like everybody was enjoying the first one because all of a sudden everybody got a holiday. But then for the like second or third one, I don't know, I lost count in Ireland, but it was winter and that was rough.
Yeah.
Like you weren't allowed to do anything at all.
Yeah.
So that was really tough.
Yeah, and Luciana, sorry.
Well, it's a very kind of a different issue here. I mean, I had shot my film already, and I was just recently, I was back in Brazil, like right before pandemic, and here is actually opposite. Is the lack of politics on security and safety. So it was the opposite. It was basically almost no rule and a lot of deaths and people in hospitals. So it was a disaster for us because we didn't have policies on curfews. It was very low. Like there was no police trying to.
Are you talking about Brazil, not Ireland?
Brazil, yeah. I was in Brazil during the whole pandemic, and still am. And here is the opposite of what you're talking about. It was like the lack of policies and a lot of deaths. So it's a very different situation.
What's it like now?
How is it?
Yeah.
To be honest, I was just now shooting in a very, very remote location. So I didn't have internet and anything. So I am just back, and I'm still like getting the news and stuff because I was very isolated for a month and a half. But we are okay now with the vaccination, and okay. I mean, it's the best. Like it's the lowest rate of hospitalization and deaths and stuff since the beginning. So it's good news, but mainly because of the vaccination. And but it was a very hard process because our president is how do you say in English? He denies the pandemic. I don't know how, but so it took a long time to start and the vaccines to get here and everything. So it was a long period of a lot of high rates of deaths and stuff. So it was very frightening. I stayed at home most of the time. I spent like 6 months in the beginning without any work. And it was hard, but for us who chose to isolate, because you could not isolate if you didn't want to, like it was not a obligation, and that caused for us to have one of the worst rates in the world in that. So it's basically the opposite of what your experience. Like it's like the complete opposite, which is bad, like the lack of
it's
care.
crazy to think that it really depends where you are in which country, that you really live the COVID experience completely differently. Like especially when it comes into politics, with Bolsonaro, who completely denied it. And then you have, more European countries like the UK. It's just like completely different. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it's completely different. Completely. Yeah, we have a very terrible president.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it, but yes.
No, yeah, you can say it. It's good. We are not proud of him, or at least I am not.
Hi, President of
Yeah.
Brazil. So, Natasha, it's your turn about your film. Stay Still.
Yes. Okay. So Stay Still is a film that it was my grad film at university in London. So it's sort of like a feminist thriller, but not necessarily a thriller where you're like kind of, jump in your seat scared type of thing. It's more a thriller because it references real life horrors. So pretty much the storyline is a guy goes he goes on a date at an immersive play. So I don't know if you guys know what an immersive play is. It's pretty much where you don't have a stage and your audience members. An immersive play is where you literally go through a building and you experience it. And he's looking through this sort of warehouse looking for his date. And each time he goes into a room, it sort of references like a social issue or an event that's happened. So it's mainly based on feminism. So it references Brock Turner, hashtag This Is Not Consent, which is something that's happened in Ireland. Khalif Browder as well. So it's sort of a short film that is not spoon-fed information at all. It sort of, leaves the audience wondering what is going on for it to sort of become a call to action film. So my sort of idea with the film was that after someone watches it is that they research, who are these people, what happened, so that it's not just, you watch the film and then, done, that it's sort of like a process after as well. It was a complicated time writing the script because it was sort of this battle between, is it too abstract or are people not going to understand this at all? And then sort of trying to find a way to make it subtle but intriguing. But so yeah, it was a super important film for me to make because I knew that I wanted to make something that was based around feminism and issues that women go through. But I also want to do something about racial injustice as well. So yeah, it's a heavy political film, kind of confusing at times, but I really enjoyed making it, and referencing important issues was really important to me.
Yeah, and concerning our subject, we were talking about the pandemic and the quarantine. You know that domestic violence is increased because of that.
Yes.
Here in Greece, it's done already. Okay, but I think in a lot of countries, because women were locked in their houses, and that rates are increased. Yeah. So yeah, that festival supports women. So it's a kind of feminist festival. So I have thought that we are from different countries, we are from different, we have different ages, but we do have all of us something in common. And I think that I've seen it mostly in your all films, not only your films, but in general, in the films of the festival. We have experienced same things, we have same fears, same worries, but we are completely different as persons. So it's very interesting in a way. What do you think about it?
Yeah, definitely. I think as females in the industry that we're in, it's difficult in ways, it's amazing in others. And I think that it's getting better, but I feel like we all have an important role to play in terms of like if you're in a position of power, which some of us might be, and like if you're hiring a crew or if you get to say like where something is going to be or who's going to be in it, to like make sure that you're including people who aren't usually represented. There's nothing worse than turning up to a film set, and I think it's the same in the events industry, which they kind of cross over a lot, and everybody there being a guy and having to overcome that it takes a lot of balls, or takes a lot of whatever they say for the women version. It takes a lot of ovaries. And I think that it's cool, like when you can overcome that and then go like, I don't mind being the only girl here, I deserve to be here. And then when you advance even further, which I'm lucky enough to have done in the past 2 years, where you're like, actually, I'm going to decide who the crew is, and then bringing in all the gals and still making an amazing project. But yeah, it's still scary at times, and it still can be a boys' club. But I do think that it is getting a little bit better in more forward-thinking spaces.
Yeah, I think that too. But it's not only about the film industry. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, Natasha in her film, she told about the sexual harassment, and I thought you have a scene with an underwear.
With underwear, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Black underwear.
That's a reference to hashtag This Is Not Consent, which happened in Ireland, I think in Cork. I don't know if Becca, you're familiar with hashtag This Is Not Consent, but I thought it was just like a crazy case, and especially to see after how people reacted on social media. I thought it was really, really great that all these, women started sharing pictures of their underwear and being like, just because I'm wearing lace, or it doesn't even matter what I'm wearing, it's only consent when it's consent. And I thought there's just one line in my film where you have this, this person, this lawyer, holding this thong, and then the voiceover saying, "Wearing these does not mean I want to fuck you." And I wanted to be bold, but not only because me personally, but because it's a statement that is so accurate. So yeah, I really that particular case of hashtag This Is Not Consent, I thought was super, super powerful.
There's actually so many cases like that in Ireland where, like, the alleged victim is in court and their underwear is held up in front of like a whole jury of people. And I don't know about other countries, but like it's really common in Ireland. And it's just bizarre. Like, there's been so many like movements against that, and there's been so many references to like how that just is so backwards in every sense of the word. So that's really cool that you included it in your story.
Thank you.
Yeah, also in Sweet as Cream, in that film, about, body shaming and all the stuff.
Yeah, my goal was I don't look particularly like the main character because I am like a 5'8", much like larger, less, curvy, but I wanted to like depict a like beautiful, like jiggly, like sensual plus size woman that is like, she's comfortable wearing these clothing that I am ingrained in myself. I can't wear that. You can see my stomach. I can't possibly wear that, which is, what is the problem with that? It's there. What is the problem with wearing clothing that fits your body? Why should I always wear baggy clothing? Why should I always wear patterns, or like, this is more slimming, or this is, etc. You can wear whatever you want, such as like, you could go to stores and there's these clothing that you see and you're like, if I were to put that on, I know someone would make fun of me because it's not going to look like the zero model when it's on me. It's going to look like a bag because it just hangs different. And I wanted to show like this woman that I wish I had grown up with or I had seen so I could relate, getting over the same fear that I shared and realizing like, it's okay. Bad things can still happen, but you also will have like positive experiences if you don't lose hope.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's true. Also, I would like to ask something else just to change subject. I think, how much patience is required to do a film, to make a film? And as you said, you start drowning and you are you're too creative, but it does need a lot of patience to do that.
Yes, Well, a lot of patience and a lot of concentration, maybe. But when I work something, let's say an animation film for 3 months, I start to get bored of it. So I finished my short film, this one, in 15 days.
Oh,
Yeah.
You work for
Yeah, I
how
worked
many
with
hours a day?
adrenaline. I worked with adrenaline. I wanted to, yeah, I just wanted this. I had this feeling. I wanted to make this film. Yeah. So I got started and I worked nonstop 24/7 and I finished it.
Okay.
Yeah.
wow.
I had some lessons a couple months ago about I learned how to be an illustrator, and I like the process very much because it was quarantine. I was in my home with the nice music, drowning, learning how to draw. But in sometimes I thought that I'm so impatient. I just want to finish that drawing.
Want to see the finished version. Yeah.
Yeah, because okay, I'm drowning, I'm trying
Yeah.
on YouTube how to draw a body. I was trying, but I didn't have patience. And I think that in your industry, in your job, you have to have a lot of patience.
I can't really say that I'm an animator because I've been doing this for, let's say, maybe for 3 to 4 years, but not like always. I do it when I need to make a film with animation, with my own techniques. So I mostly shoot with my phone, with my camera. But yeah, with animation, you need a lot of patience. But I think the good thing with this film that as I said, I first shot with my camera. So I have already seen what I was going. I had already seen the end, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
And what about the others? Are you patient?
It's in my work, it's almost as if the brain shuts off and like you kind of just like go. Like once you're in the zone, you're in the zone. I was a long distance swimmer, so it's like that really repetitive, nothing's changing, you can't even see anything because you're in water, but you kind of have to get into that like almost meditation mindset to be doing drawing after drawing after drawing. I would say the biggest thing is being careful of what you're listening to while you're doing this, because like I love true crime, but when you're consuming true crime for like 16 hours a day in the dark, you turn around and you're like, I heard something outside. This is it. This is the end. This is it. So I think it's finding that thing that you are able to do, not with your eyes closed, but very little like brain effort goes into it. There's points where I'm like tearing out my hair because there's like, I can't figure out how to draw this thing. And then once you're able to do it, like the coloring process, you just have to sit there and it's just repetitive and you kind of have to shut down your brain and just go for it.
But Mary, did you shoot it frame by frame?
Yeah, it's all hand drawn, frame by frame.
Yeah, maybe that's my lucky thing for me, because as I said, I can't really work for 3 to 4 or 6 months. My limits is maybe shorter, so I draw only few actually things, not like frame by frame. Yeah. So
rotoscoping is
so good
cool.
that you worked so hard. Yeah.
I'm about patience. Yeah, I'm a very patient person in my general life. I have to be patient to deal with all the things that I do in events and music and stuff. I'm definitely very patient, and I think maybe resilient would be like a better word in like when it comes to like producing and directing and stuff, because you have to overcome so many problems. And like no matter how good you are at planning or how like perfect you have word by word, day by day, minute by minute what's going to happen, like stuff is always going to go wrong. And like it's such a cliche thing to say, but like I have overcome some like mad stuff trying to like do projects. But I feel like I have all of this adrenaline like pre-production, like and on set. And then when it comes to post-production, that's where I lose my patience. Like I just want something to be finished now. Like I don't want to wait. I put in so much work and so much time and so much love and usually so much of my own money and like creativity that I just want the final product to be ready, and I want it to be exactly how I envisioned it. And if it's not, then it's worthless. And I find that part of the process of any like visual or creative project the worst. Like I said, like it doesn't matter how organized and patient you are at the start and during it, when it's just like coming to the end and you're like, man, I just need this to be finished now. I have so many unfinished projects because I just like not that I get bored of them, but I've lost my patience now. I haven't gotten it to where I want it to be, and I'm just going to discard it. And I have hard drives just like looking at me sometimes being like, hey, want to finish that thing you started in New York that you told everyone about and never finished? And you have people texting you being like, hey, do you have the clips from that? And you're like, yeah, maybe soon eventually. So yeah, I think that's the hardest part for me for like films, and that's why I feel like I'm kind of veering away from like fictional film, because I just think there's just so much on the line, and when it's not exactly how you wanted it to be, it kind of is demotivating, you know, like, or maybe the acting wasn't on point, or like you were just getting in people to do favors and it's not what you envisioned. And I made my first documentary over the summer, and I loved that because it's like, it doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be, you know, like perfect lighting and this, like it bloody doesn't even have to be in focus. If what they're saying is amazing and it fits the moment, then cool. So I'm like, yeah, I actually like that. I actually like when there's less pressure, because on the other end, yeah, I guess I get very frustrated.
And
I'm sure other people do as well.
And maybe the key for it is to have fun with it, because when it's stressing and when it feels like work, and it's not working also.
Yeah.
The film is not going to work because you have to go back to the basics of filmmaking.
Yes.
101.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I'm gonna stick to pre-production roles from now on. Luciana, did you say that you worked with someone called Emma Smith?
Yeah, she's the co-director of my film.
And that you went to IADT?
Yeah.
I think I know her. And that's so annoying because Ireland is such a small place, like ridiculously small. You can't go a single day without literally bumping into or meeting someone that knows someone. And it's especially annoying when you like travel or live in America, because most people in America are like, do you know John Smith? And you're like, no, I don't know everyone in Ireland, but you said Emma Smith, and I was like, I actually think I know her.
Yeah, she's great. She couldn't be here today, but
does she go by the name Sheen?
Yeah,
I do know her. She's fab. She is amazing.
She's great. She's amazing. She's
oh my god, it's such a small world.
Saved my life. Yeah.
Is she the girl that showed you around, or that was just your?
No, that was my
housemate.
I don't know. You know, we like, you know, I was in her house for the master. Like it was she was my family.
You were in Emma's house for the master?
No, for this other woman.
Like a host, kind of.
Yeah, like a host. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
No, Emma, I met her in college. Like she was a graduate student. She was graduating that year, and I needed, because I'm a cinematographer. That was my, you know, my second project as a director, which is. For me, it's more than patience. It's like persistence, because it's so hard. It's like, you have to face problems all the time, and especially when it's like a small project, and with very little money. And for me, who I was not from Ireland, so I had to like navigate around, and for me, directing and like producing is like persistence. Like you have to focus on the on the goal and just keep going. Yeah.
Definitely.
But yeah, I met Emma because she helped me a lot. Like I had this project and she embraced it and helped me direct it. So on set I could be a cinematographer, which is who I am. And she directed on set. It was great.
She's amazing. That's cool.
When you create something, I mean your own project, do you set your own deadlines? I mean, okay, I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna do that until April, let's say, for example, just to set some limits, or it doesn't work that way for you?
For me, it doesn't work that way. It's like until I'm done, which
Until
is a problem, because you have to sometime, decide it's over. And it's time to, it's ready, it's done, but it's like it's very hard to predict the problems and the things you will face during the process. I don't know, like especially if you don't have like a huge support of a big production and stuff like that. You have to do it a lot on your own, so it's hard for me. It doesn't work with time like that. I don't know how it is.
I'd be like on the end of, I'm very like, I'm super organized and I have all my lists and I'm good at scheduling and stuff right up until the last day of the shoot. And then everything like, and I'll, I'll make sure everybody's there. I'll have my clipboard and my coffees for everyone. And I'm that kind of gal and I'm super organized. But when it comes to like, once the shoot is wrapped, then it's like the edit is like, it's until it's ready. Like for the Heal music video that I have in this festival, I technically did have it completely shot. Like I had everything that I wanted by, let's just say like March, like end of March. And then me and Mai were going to West Cork, which is like an unbelievably beautiful part of Ireland. We were going like in a few weeks and I was like, let's just sit on this and see what happens when we get down there. And then of course, when we were down there, we were shooting more stuff. And I was really happy with it. And then like another few weeks came by and I thought of something else and I was like, let's shoot something else. And then at that point, I had so much content then that it was just so overwhelming. And I was like, what do I put in the edit? And then because thankfully she had to submit the song and then we wanted the video to come out like a week later, that was the only reason I got it finished. Like if she didn't have that deadline, I would definitely still be editing it now. Like I need hard deadlines, and I can't just have somebody saying like, oh yeah, can you just have it for me by the end of the month? I'm like, no, I need a date and a time, and I will be giving it to you 1 minute before that date and time. Unfortunately. Yeah.
Alara, maybe you don't have that problem because
no, actually I have a schedule actually. I hate deadlines, but I give myself, I say like I will finish this at the end of this month, or like in 3 weeks I'm going to do one scene this week and the other scene next week. I mean, not day to day, but weekly planned maybe. It gives me discipline.
I get it totally. I put deadlines in any task I have, so Mary, you?
I had a deadline on my film because it was a school, like my graduation film. But it was definitely that ping-ponging between, I like having my work done, like I like getting things done early. In my professional work, the earlier I can get it to someone, the better, in my opinion. I don't like rushing, except when it comes to my personal work. I was like, over the summer, I'm going to start my next film. No, don't even worry about it. That has not happened yet, and it is now October. So we're on a break, just say that. And I think sometimes I like giving myself deadlines, and I always try to follow the deadlines. And then I think every once in a while, there's like that moment where you like just procrastinate and push it off and end up doing it all at one time, such as I don't like post-production work either. I like drawing, I like designing, I love character designing. And then the moment that I had to chop up everything and put it all together in Premiere, I was like, I don't want to do this. I really don't want to touch this. I'm done. I've already clocked out. I've done my job, which was animating it. Why do I have to finish it?
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff. But we always get it done, you know, whether that takes longer or shorter, it always is on time. So
Is there anyone here who actually likes editing?
I do.
Yeah,
I
you want to
100%
edit
like
my
editing.
projects for me?
Well, maybe email me.
I'm going to hit you up, Natasha, girl.
Do it. Actually, me for my since it was a student film, I did have a deadline similar to Mary. But the thing is, with my course, I also had to edit another person's film. So I had two
That's
big
so cool.
projects. I had to edit my friend's music video, and then I had to edit mine. But the deadline was so tight. So I was only sleeping 2 hours a day for 2 weeks. And I was starting to go crazy. But I loved it. I sort of like working with super intense deadlines, because under pressure, I find that I work better. And also because, you know, I like editing. And also, I don't know if you guys have this as well, but for me in editing, my film can change a lot. That might be personally because I like it, but I find so oftentimes in post, you realize like, oh, this actually really works, or this doesn't work at all. Like we need to take it out. And then that can sort of change the storyline after. But that's why I think post is such a cool part of it, because you can, you know, have one idea and then you see, you know, in front of the monitor that this is not going to work, and oh, actually this is 100 times better. So it's something I enjoy. It's exhausting, I find, but I think it's fun. Good stuff.
I can tell something about editing. I had this situation while I was making it. There's this scene, a woman is watching the news, and there's this anchor woman and a doctor, physician, talking about body weight and how it affects the heart and blah, blah, blah. And at first, it was not anchor woman, it was anchor man with a doctor. And suddenly it was like two men body shaming women and weight. And I quickly changed that anchorman to anchor woman, and suddenly it worked better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah, editing, make it works. Yeah. Make it work.
Luciana, I'm sorry.
Well, I think that editing is like the editor is like a second director. It's like I think editing is crucial in a film. I think it changes everything. It makes better or worse, but mainly better, mostly better. And I think because of that, it's such a difficult process. Like for me, who I'm not never into editing because I'm a cinematographer. So it's like it's not a process I'm used to. And then when I had to edit this film, it was cruciating for me, because you have to view it over and over and over and over again. You have to think about it. You think about it every time. And I don't know, I think it's like editors are great people because it's such a hard job, and it's so important. But it is hard. I mean, it's hard because you have to let go of scenes that, you know, they were hard to make.
Yeah.
You have to let go of scenes that you thought they were really important, but then your editor says, oh, you don't need that scene.
Yeah, kill the darling.
Yeah. Kill your darlings. Yeah, it's a very difficult process, and I think it's very important to not the director to edit the film, because it's like especially because of that you can have a second look and a second view with the whole story. Like you can go so many beautiful places. I think it's I think it's hard, but like you can't make it without it. It's like congratulations.
Totally necessary. I find it really hard to not want to be the editor of something that I've directed, because you're kind of like, I want to make sure that this translates to the way that I meant it. Especially if you've also written it. And that happened for me. I did another music video over the summer and like pretty much produced and directed it, but I also had help from an amazing other girl about like the concept and like how the art direction would go. But I was just like flat out could not edit it myself, because I was doing a master's and was working on a feature-length documentary. So I was like, I'm sorry, I cannot. But then when the edit came back, I was like, this is great, but I still need to finish it off like the way that I intended it to be. And I could not have done it without Sakshi. Like, honestly, she did such an amazing edit. And then I just kind of like finished it with my own like personal touch. And like, that's the kind of editing I like, you know, like somebody following the treatment, doing all that lovely stuff, and then just swiping in at the end and putting like the little bits that you remembered from the shoot. Because like, you're going to remember yourself, like, there was that little special moment where, you know, they were really engaged in the camera, or like a little something happened that wasn't in the treatment. So to like go back in, find those moments and then put it in, like that was cool. I liked that. But it's hard when stuff that you planned didn't go right, and you're just like, you have to just drop your pride and go, look, it didn't work, move on, it's fine, and then cry yourself to sleep later.
And Mary, you do the editing, right?
Yeah, so I was like the one-man army. I did everything from start to finish. The only other people that were in the process were my two other voice actors. And even then, I had to like bring them in here, and I was like, sit down right here. I'm gonna record you. I've done it before with other films, and I think as much as I don't want to do it, I kind of feel a little bit, I want to see it through. Mm-hmm. And I get a little bit like, that's my film. Like, I don't want anyone else to touch it because you're going to mess it up, or you're going to do it in a way that I don't like it. I mean, I remember originally it was going to look completely different, and I did all this work, and it was going to be a pastel, like very creamy, dreamy wonderland of clouds and pink. And I finished that, and it was completely animated and colored and everything as like a test. And I looked at it and I was like, I gotta throw it out. So I had to restart everything. I mean, it's, and I remember when I first made it, because every so often we'd go in front of a board of professors, and someone was like, are you actually going to be able to do this because you're doing all this shading on your characters and everything? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I work kind of fast. And they responded by going, well, you're not going to be able to do it. And I was like, okay, well, that makes me want to do it more now. And it was the idea of like, I taught myself Photoshop because that's how I wanted it to be. I did not want it to be anywhere else, anything else. It could have been easier, but I didn't want it to be that. I wanted to be exactly what I thought about. So I was willing to put in the work to do that. I would love to be able to send stuff off. I would love to have someone post for me, because I never post my art anywhere. So, but that's it.
Nice. No, you know what? I want two things to tell me, each of you. What inspires you to enter to that world, to the world of films? And if you have any advice to give to anyone who wants to be a film director. I mean, from your own experience, some things that you've done and it was wrong, anything. Alara, do you want to start?
I didn't really understand the first question.
Okay, what was the reason that you wanted to be a film director? Well, what inspired you?
I wanted to be a film director when I was 4.
Yeah.
So I don't know another world without it, but I think with visions. So yeah, I couldn't really imagine another world. I grew up with a camera on my hands, and yeah, it just I'm now 26 and I'm still doing the same thing. Yeah. I think like if I say something to people who want to make films, just doing it, not waiting really big crew, not waiting really like real actors, like a really big budget, expensive camera. Just shoot with your own iPhone, or not iPhone, just like your phone, like iPhone advertisement. No. Just shoot with your cameras, just shoot something. Use your family, use yourself, I started using my animals actually. So yeah.
Yeah.
Just
So
shoot, not wait.
when you were 4, do you have a favorite movie?
Like a movie, like the movie.
Yeah, that inspires you to become a director, a filmmaker.
Well,
I think maybe it was
that's the curse of a filmmaker.
maybe an animation. It was an animation, I guess.
No. I really liked watching Cinema Paradiso actually, because it also celebrates filmmaking. So yeah, that's the filmmaker. But of course, Alfred Hitchcock films that. Yeah, and a lot of good directors.
Nice. Natasha?
I think what inspired me to get into filmmaking was probably after watching a film and learning something new. I know that sounds very cliche, but I really like documentaries or films that are based off of real things that happen, like American Animals, which is done in a very, different kind of way, more comedic, but still powerful. And I really love that feeling of leaving the cinema or watching a film being completely in awe and shocked by, either, the script or the cinematography or the music or, the whole thing together. There's so many times that I leave the cinema and I'm like, wow, like The Father recently, I just went to go see, and I was like, I don't know if you guys seen The Father with Anthony Hopkins and Olivia Colman.
No.
Not yet.
Okay, highly recommend.
Good.
Don't even watch the trailer. You
Okay.
Watch it. But yeah, so I think what inspired me was, feeling some type of way after watching something. And then I think my advice, sort of similar to what Mary was saying earlier, is don't take no for an answer. And oftentimes it's when, you're sort of motivated by people telling you like, oh no, that's going to be, that's going to look like shit, or no, that's not a good idea, or like, no, that's illegal, like do it. Because most of the times that's when it's going to be some good stuff.
Yeah, or maybe that is not a stable job.
Yeah.
So yeah, about the financial things.
Yeah.
Mary?
I remember I saw the movie How to Train Your Dragon, and I decided that I really wanted to do art originally, just because I like fantasy. And then I was followed quickly up by seeing Song of the Sea, and I love that studio. And that's just kind of, I love mythology, I love fantasy. It's like funny that I ended up making this film that like wasn't involving that at all. I guess a person made out of ice cream could say that. I was actually going to be an illustrator, and then in the like final hour, I realized like I wanted to be a character designer for animation, and that's what I was really wanting to do. So I decided that why not be able to do both? Why not, become an animator so I can illustrate and animate at the same time, because I felt like I could illustrate and teach myself that more, but I had no idea like how to animate. So I went to school for that. It was mostly because like I wanted to create things for myself. I love character design. And I also wanted to create characters that like, I don't know, that I wish I had seen, or like my friends wish they had seen growing up, that weren't just like, the big 3 studios pushing out another princess who's very small and, now they're spunky, but that doesn't really include a lot of people, whether that be, size or race or age.
At what age did you learn to draw?
I taught myself at, I had always kind of drawn, but I fell off the wagon for a little bit. And then I really got into it at like 13 or 14. And then after that, it was all I wanted to do.
Yeah. Nice. Luciana?
I guess for me, film is it always came to me as a way of getting out of my reality, like to get to know other people, other cities, other realities. Like I think I grew up in a very, very small town, and my family is not at all in this cultural world. So I grew up in the countryside, and I don't know, I guess it was always a genuine wheel of watching films and watching other realities. Like for me, it was a very, it was a very amazing world to get in touch with every film that I watched. And go into film school, it was, I had no idea how it was to make a film. Like I was, really, I had no idea. I just like watching them. And then I just, when I was in college, I fell in love with analogic photography. I had a very amazing teacher, and she, I don't know, I just fell in love with it, with images, and how you can be on your own, like especially with photography, that you can be on your own, like reflective action, like to just take a picture and out of your own observation. And I think it came, like, I don't know, I never, it was just a flow that I followed. It was not ever a conscious decision. It was just something that I liked doing. It was very naive. And eventually I just fell in love with the set, and I always liked having people around, like, and I think for me, it would, my advice to people starting, it would be like, to be humble and to decide what's best for you. Like, for me, it was like, for a lot of students, it can be like to graduate and start shooting films and, just do it. And for me, it was graduating from film school and working in sets and watching and learning. And I think each person needs to find their own way. I think you cannot let your, because we want a lot of things. And I think when I was a bit younger, I'm 33 now, and when I was a bit younger, I was like very, very eager to do things. And I think to watch and learn from other people is very, 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 very important. And I think you need to listen to what you really want to do, like what makes you happy, like it's, and learn with that. I think if that's an advice, it would be my advice.
Nice. Becca?
What got me into film? My dad got me into film. He is like the biggest film person I know in terms of his knowledge and love for film. And I would have just grown up like always watching movies, and I would have like progressed into 12s when I was like 8, and I would have been allowed into the 15s movies with my dad and stuff. And I just like always loved going to the movies with my dad, and I think that probably was what started it for me. But then more so, like how I got into being a filmmaker myself beyond just enjoying film, was I've always been a storyteller. Like I've always enjoyed writing, and when I was in secondary school, which is high school, I always loved English, and I loved the kind of short stories and stuff like that. Like that's where I kind of thrived, because that was just something I was able to do. I have a lot of ideas about a lot of stuff, so I guess yeah, just it kind of progressed from writing into I made a short film with my dad when I was like 17, and it did pretty well in the world of young film festivals and stuff. But I had already started my event management course, and it was like a 4-year degree, so I kind of had to park filmmaking for a bit. And I kind of said to myself, look, I'll finish this degree. If I'm still interested in film, by the time I come out the other end, then I'll get back into it. And I never ever lost my love for storytelling and film. So I did a master's last year in emerging media, and just had to start doing stuff myself, taking photos, inviting myself to things, and just showing up and being like a helping hand. And like that's how I kind of got myself into like the roles that I'm in now. Which would probably be my most relevant bit of advice is, you know, if you want to be involved in these kind of things, and you didn't go to college as an undergrad, where usually then you meet people who are like-minded and you get to like do 4 years of filmmaking and you find your tribe, you find your people. Like that didn't happen for me, and that was really hard. I felt like I didn't have any creative friends who were like, sure, let's go just shoot something up in the mountains. Like I didn't have that at all. So I really had to work hard at like networking and like getting myself out there and educating myself online, listening to the podcasts, you know, all of the YouTube tutorials about color palettes and emotions and stuff like that. And just like immersed myself in it to the point where I can't watch a film anymore without being like, I wonder what the casting was for this and how they decided to use this shot and so on. Like, you know, where you get to the point of like, it becomes an obsession. Yeah, and just throw yourself into the deep end. And if I could have any sort of ambition, it would definitely be like Baz Luhrmann, because like I said before, I like a number of things. Like I'm really into like music and like art direction, set design. You know, he's an auteur and like is responsible for so many elements of his projects, and he only has a select few. And I think that like that's the coolest thing. I'd love to do like a very select few amazing projects where every step of the journey I was there and worked with other people to make it happen. So yeah, quality over quantity for me.
Nice. And I think the clue is when you have passion about something, you should go for it. Yeah. Because Mary, what you told before about the professor, I don't remember that she told you that, no, you can't do it. It makes me very angry.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that you just got to do it. If you say that you're not good at it, you're never going to get better. I was not good at drawing. I look back at stuff that I've done last year and I'm like, wow, I suck. This is horrible. Like, if you never start, you will never get to do it.
You will never know if you're good at it. I mean, just try it, give it a try, and okay, if it works perfect. Yeah, you know, because the time has passed, I'm going to tell you a story about mine in a humorous way. When I was little, I would like to be I would like to be an astronaut.
Okay.
And we have a friend of my parents who was a lecturer in a university about astrophysics, and I was 10 years old, and I asked him, you know, I want to be an astronaut. It is possible to become. And he told me, do you like maths and physics? And I hate until now math and physics. I hate them. I don't understand them. I don't understand them. And no, I don't like them. And he told me, okay, so you can't be an astronaut. And who knows, maybe, I'm having an answer. Maybe if he told me, yes, yeah, you can be an astronaut. Yeah. Try to read and learn math. Who knows, maybe right now I could be on Mars.
Yeah.
So my advice is to, if you have a passion, go for it, no matter what they say. and things are gonna happen.
Yes.
So I want to thank you very much and for all the conversation, and wish you the best to each one of you. And I invite you to see other directors' films because they are all great. I mean it. We have great films in the festival. And I hope to see you again.
Thank you so much, Evie.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye
Thank
bye.